The entrepreneurship in me was there from my college days. So around 10 years back, I started a fragrance company.
Interesting. So from all these journey, you came to the fragrance.
From SIM card selling to selling
Scent.
scents.
Whenever you are entering any place, whether it's your own house, your own room, whether you're going in a restaurant to sit with somebody for a nice fine dining, it's the perfume or the smell. Sometimes the ambience is beautiful, but you come across the foul smell and you don't want to go back to that place ever again.
The area of what we're doing in hotels is an area that we can bring into homes also.
Wow.
That's an area that we want to focus on, which is signature fragrance of hotels. And there are two other areas, Preea, that I think it's very important. The other one is
there are a lot of people in corporate environment who would want to start an entrepreneurial journey. How would you motivate them? What message you would give them to start a safe journey?
Firstly, I don't recommend people to abruptly leave their jobs. Whether you have income or not, it's not like your hometown. Maybe you're not paying for your apartment rent. Here you would either have an EMI.
What would be a piece of advice that you would give to the youth out there who's all ready to get in? What is a safe way for them to start the business, or what exactly would be your piece of advice?
I would say stop vaping. That's the first advice.
If you get a chance to have a dinner with someone live or not alive, who will it be and why?
I think you got me thinking.
Share with us one fun fact that we are not aware about.
I would say I have been in the cockpit of a commercial airline.
Wow!
Thanks for giving me a lift, boys.
Go ahead and take a seat, Frank. We're about to push.
Welcome to another interesting podcast show. We have a very special guest today. Are you somebody who's looking for a change in life from your corporate journey to an entrepreneurship journey? Are you a youth aspiring to start a new journey? We have someone who has gone through this whole journey from starting a business, failing, moving to corporate, and then took a very calculative step and has a very successful model. Someone who's a family-oriented person. Someone who shares a special bond with his father. Beautiful stories coming up, and do watch this interesting episode with our special guest, Rashid Shaikh. Rashid Shaikh is a founder and CEO of Scent Strategy and Riviera. He has beautiful journey when it comes to the fragrance world. As promised, we have guests coming and sharing their leadership, their visionary experiences with all of us. Also, they have special interest when it comes to youth empower. Join us today to welcome Rashid. Rashid, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Rashid, let's start with a journey. How did you start? Before we reach to the leadership, let's go back and see how you started your whole journey from your qualification days, how you started your corporate, what was the vision, and how you reached the stage. If you can just take us through this whole journey.
Firstly, Preea, I started during my college days. I started a website design company. Back in the days, it was a big thing because the internet was new, and I thought that I will be a multimillionaire doing this thing. So during the time of college, I also had a side hustle, and we put up a kind of a small agency along with my brother, and we made about 120 websites. And I think within 4 years, it was quite clear that it's time to wrap up with all the expenses that we had. I had taken computers on rent, and I had some brilliant staff. I remember back in the days, some of those staff, they used to come to office and talk about the interviews they had with very big firms, and that kind of would affect the mood of the rest of the staff, because they talk about having a few $1,000s in US and very good comfortable life. I think it's called H-1B visa. And the technology industry in India was huge, and a lot of people would want to go to US, and retention was a big problem. So we used to do software development for companies like Bennett and Coleman, which is Times of India. When you do software development, there is a part where you have to do documentation, because if one staff leaves, the other staff has to continue, should understand the coding. So he reads through the documentation, and we would not do the documentation to save cost. Basically, that spiral, and then it came to a point that it was best to shut down. One of my brothers, we are three brothers, I'm the youngest, and my second brother, Ashraf, he moved to Dubai, and he had a beautiful beige E240 Mercedes,
Oh, wow.
which he sent us the
Interesting.
pictures. And he said, guys, what are you doing over here? We have Dubai Internet City getting developed, and this is exactly what y'all are doing. And why don't you do the same here? And, the difference in currency is a lot. And that's how the journey moved to Dubai. So when I came to Dubai, I think within 30 odd days, I got the first job. I put a beautiful presentation. I'm not that special, but I'm very good in marketing myself at a very young age. So I put up a PowerPoint presentation. So I understood personal branding very early. So I put up a PowerPoint presentation of myself with a blow up of my picture
Amazing.
as the first slide, because when you blow up your picture, it kind of amplifies the image of the person. So I put the picture and I use a third party speaking about Rashid. So it was saying, instead of saying I said Rashid has done this, and Rashid has done this, and he has done this. And the person who took my interview, he really liked that. But the fact is, I made that PowerPoint, Preea, to control the narrative. When you're in an interview and you're not confident, you don't have the Dubai experience, you don't have the UAE driving license, and here you are in an important interview and you want to get the job. So it's important to control the narrative. You have a few minutes with the interviewer. So instead of the interviewer, like you today, asking questions, I control the narrative by asking the interviewer to instead look at the PowerPoint that I have made. So much of the questions that he had was related to the PowerPoint, the content that he was getting from the PowerPoint.
This is interesting.
And I had all the answers to that. So that's how I shifted it. And I was very nervous. I remember at one time, I asked the second person who was there also in the same panel if I could just go to the washroom, But the fact is, my heart was pounding, So I just needed some break from all of this, And so I came back. And after that company, which is METAC, it's got a big building in Garhood. Back in the days, METAC was representing HP in the Middle East and UAE in particular. So from METAC, I moved to a company called Ramco, which is again a technology company. Always there has been support from women in my life. There was somebody in Microsoft who I used to give a lot of orders, like a lot of sales from METAC. So I was selling an ERP, which is a great ERP called Great Plains, Microsoft Great Plains. I think it's called Microsoft Dynamics now.
Okay.
So somewhere the message went through that there's somebody called Rashid, and he does good ERP sales. She moved to a company called Ramco, and she suggested my name. That's how I moved to Ramco. Ramco was a big jump in my salary. I remember the CEO of Ramco, when he met me, I did not even give my resume. I said I'm good in marketing myself, and trying to hide the real me. So what I did is I took him in my convertible. Mm-hmm. So I had a hard-top convertible, and I took him to a nice drive in Jumeirah.
The show-off guy.
Yeah. So I think he liked that.
Interesting.
I think he liked the drive actually more than me.
But what I liked over here on this point is, see, your work speaks for you, right?
Right.
So that was really nice.
Right. And I think they wanted somebody who's confident, who can talk to a multicultural environment like we have in Dubai. And that was a huge jump in my career. I got to sell to banks, and I did a sale also to a bank called Commercial Bank International, where we flew down to another country to show what we have done for another bank. The whole experience was amazing. Somewhere around that time, the telco industry opened. There was another operator in the industry, and I thought to apply. I got a job in Etisalat.
Oh, very nice. Interesting.
Very long in Etisalat. I never thought I will leave Etisalat. I thought I will stay there until all my teeth fall out. But somewhere the entrepreneurship in me was there back from my college days, and I wanted to do something on my own. So around 10 years back, 2014, 2015, I started a fragrance company.
Interesting.
So
So from all these journey, you came to the fragrance. It's like such a contrast.
yeah, from SIM card selling to
The
selling
scent.
scents.
Interesting. I would love to understand how this whole shift happened.
Preea, I had a friend, a very close friend. Back in the days, I remember his cook used to make a lot of good food, and I was single and
And foodie.
foodie, and I went to his house regularly.
Okay.
And one day, I think it was 3 o'clock, and there's a lot of 3 o'clock in the morning. There are a lot of instances where at 3 o'clock in the morning, I've got some fantastic ideas, and
Oh,
I'll tell you
wow.
about it. So, starting with this, my friend said that, look, I've got all these brown boxes in my living room. I'm really stressed because I'm unable to sell the fragrance that I have manufactured by getting this. He took money from someone to manufacture these fragrances. And he said that, I tried everything. I tried consignment sales where I don't get paid, only get paid if the perfume sells. Here I am with all these boxes I'm unable to sell. So I thought for a moment, how can this be solved? And then it just dawned on me, maybe the 3 a.m. Magic. I thought, how about putting these fragrances in hotel rooms?
Mm-hmm.
And every hotel room will have one of these bottles, so you don't have to stack it up. So instead of storing it in your living room,
Mm-hmm.
how about keeping it in those rooms?
Very nice.
Yeah. And then you remember I talked about PowerPoint presentation, right?
Yes.
So I'm good with PowerPoint presentations. So I made a PowerPoint presentation for the
Again.
hotel.
Interesting.
And I put the pitch that this is a feel-good factor. So we give a sample perfume, a 3 ml. It's called a vial. It's like a sample fragrance of the same thing. So the sample kit or the sample vial is free for the hotel. So for the hotel, it's like they're giving a good experience. It's
Correct.
a feel-good factor, giving something free to your guest.
Correct.
So they like the idea that we're getting something for free, So even if the perfume doesn't sell, the vials are given for free, So that was an interesting thing for the hotel. In-room sales, I didn't even know the term in-room sales, which is there in the hotel industry, or they call it the minibar sales.
Mm-hmm.
That more or less was depleting because people were buying from outside, whether it is soda or whether it is chips, It wasn't selling from the room.
Hotel itself.
Yeah. So they wanted something that where they can activate sales from the room also and have incremental sale from in while the guest is in the hotel. So that made sense. Back in the days, there were not so many malls, and you had to travel and the traffic. So a lot of people come to Dubai for a few days. It's like a business travel. So I mentioned that this would be instant sale. So it's something right in front of you. You don't have to travel. So if they want to give a gift to their family or to their partner, it's like an instantly available. They don't have to travel to the mall. So that made a lot of sense that, they can give a gift from Dubai. So everybody wants a souvenir. So there was the fragrance was called Jamila.
Oh,
So,
wow. It's a nice one.
yeah. So we tried that. Later on, we had another fragrance called Sahira, and it had the concentrate oil
Okay.
that worked very well. I remember a hotel, it was called Taj Palace.
Okay.
The procurement person told us that we sell more fragrances than Evian water from the rooms. And that just took off, and that was the start of this idea of fragrances, in my life.
This is so beautiful, Rashid. I'm so impressed. You being into a very corporate, straightforward journey, and then suddenly the idea comes up, and this is so creative. The way you structured it, the way you pitched it, it was like you just nailed it.
Right.
And beautiful journey when we see from something which is structured, it shows and it proves that it's not necessary for us to put ourselves into a box, right?
Right.
We do have those other things in our mind or those caliber that can be triggered if at all you want to, right? So if there is a problem and you start thinking, you can come up with brilliant ideas.
Absolutely.
And those brilliant ideas, now you're a visionary, you're a leader into that segment. It's so impressive. So let's move ahead with your journey from there.
Right. So somewhere later, there was a mall of Emirates as we know it. There was a showroom in the mall, and I believe it was a French showroom, a furniture showroom. And I visited the showroom, and immediately I got the whiff of fragrance in the air.
Okay.
And I was so curious, what is this? How come there's so much of fragrance in the air? Like normally you put an aerosol, you just have like a room spray. It stays for a short period, right? The candle's the same. The reed diffuser's also
So
the same.
true.
So I asked the staff, where is this fragrance coming from? Are you
Mhm.
selling something that is, having this
Yeah.
fragrance? He pointed out to a box and he said, it's coming from that box. And I said, really? And I had a closer look at the box and I realized that this is nothing like what I have ever seen. It's a small box and it has a small bottle inside, and that small bottle, Preea, diffuses fragrance all over the showroom, like a 4,000 square feet showroom, with just a few boxes in close by to cover the overall area. And then I started to research the subject. I found somebody in Netherlands who does this, and I found someone in Poland who does this, and a little bit of information about this happening even in China. So the Chinese manufacturers were trying to catch up with what's happening in Europe, but it largely started in Europe. So that's how the journey started. I came to, at some point, I sent an email to a company called The One Furniture Store.
Okay.
Shout out to Sabina and Thomas Lundgren, who's the CEO. Sabina is the purchase head, and also Stefan Lundgren. I met Stefan and I showed him one of our diffusers, and he just loved the design. He said it's like Apple. It has the aluminium finish. That order was around 750,000 dirhams, and that helped us to take the business more seriously.
Very nice.
So that got me to China.
Yes, I would love to understand the China journey of yours. I've heard something very interesting part on China. I would love to hear that, Rashid.
Right. So, like we talked about it, Preea, when I went to China, everything is in Chinese.
Is it?
Starting from the airport, there is no English.
Really?
Yeah, you want to take a SIM card, you literally have to explain it with expressions like, you get your mobile out and explain them what you want. And they'd probably write it down on a calculator saying how much the amount is. So there is no English. If you have to get into a bus, it's all Chinese, So in China, when I moved from the airport, of course, I knew where I was staying and I managed to reach the hotel. The next day, the manufacturer talks to me about a visit to his factory. When he gave me the location, I took the metro and everything. And then finally he so there was somebody to pick me up at the metro. But when I reached that place, finally there was this guy who was riding like something like a bike, and it was the battery bike, which now is quite common in Dubai. But back in those days, it wasn't a scene in Dubai, so it was quite unique for me. And he had a kind of a rod at the back, which goes straight, and it's like an umbrella.
Oh, wow.
and,
Interesting.
and here I am riding with him in a farm in China. I think it was like they were having rice, you know.
Rice
it was,
fields?
Yeah, it was a farm. And between that farm, Preea, we are riding this bike way inside, far away from the metro.
Oh my God.
Completely Chinese environment. There is no nationality other than Chinese.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous. I was thinking, like, what if they do something to me here?
Oh my God.
Nobody would know. And sometimes the delusional mind, I was in a telco doing sales,
Yeah.
and here I am in China, and a whole new opportunity opens up. So if you start something, you don't have to perfect it. Just continue the journey. You'll find your path. It's important to be a little bit delusional.
Right.
You can't completely nail it down. Even the Chinese did not figure the technology at that time. They were also exploring. They also wanted feedback. So this plant somewhere inside the farms in China, they were also struggling. They wanted to meet me for the larger picture, to understand what I know about the technology.
Okay.
Yeah. These things basically led to having a product finally given to this company, and also a machine that diffuses this in the air. So the French showroom had a supplier in Abu Dhabi, and I had to see this machine. So I contacted one of my friend who has a supermarket, and I said, why don't you call this company, your supermarket, and install it here so I can have a clearer picture
demo
of
of it,
what
right?
exactly this does. So
Smart.
he had a fish and meat area, which
Wow.
was, always having the odor problem.
Great.
And he decided to fix it there. And here I was again climbing the stair and, opening the machine and trying to understand how this diffusion happens,
The curiosity guy.
Yeah, so
I must
curiosity is very important.
Yes.
It is very underestimated, but curiosity in us makes a big difference especially when you're innovating something.
say. Correct.
So from there, I got to know more about this product. We made a lot of mistakes. Again, my mother encouraged me to go on because I had a lot of setbacks. So again, women in my life, the female energy, it somehow works very well. And when you get the push from a woman, somehow it connects very well. It connected very well with me. I remember I was in a mall, Ibn Battuta Mall, and that was a ladies' spa. I think it was a spa called the Nail Spa. And I was after working hours, so it was very early in the morning, and we were trying to fix this on the ceiling, above the ceiling, and suddenly I heard a crack.
Oops.
And I said, oh my God. And I had this technician who was heavy and he's inside.
Oh my God.
Now I'm thinking how to get him outside through and out from this whole
Oh my
bag.
God.
So, fortunately, we could not see the crack anywhere. I'm sorry, Shabana. We didn't really do anything wrong. It possibly was a crack, or maybe I just heard something. And then I got down, and he also got down. And finally, when I drove down from Ibn Battuta to Abu Dhabi, because that's where I was working, the next day I told my mom that I don't want to do this. It's enough is enough. It just doesn't work. I do all this effort, but the fragrance doesn't come in the air.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, there is something to it which I'm not getting it, and it's so stressful. And to give up is easy. That first thought of just giving up, and just take life easy. You have a stable job. You don't have to do this
And all of this you were doing as a side hustle.
as a side hustle.
Interesting.
Yeah. My mom at that time encouraged me to go on. And fortunately, around that time, I got a help from my brother also. So my eldest brother, Elias, he got into the business. So like Martin Luther King, I gave a elevator pitch
Oh,
to
wow.
my brother
Amazing.
saying, I have a dream, and we will be very successful in this. And he was doing headhunting.
Uh-huh.
Around that time, he had a problem also because someone he was trying to get from Germany, last moment, a head of for automobile industry. He was looking for a very senior person to come from Germany, and last moment he decided not to come. And he was also frustrated with his business because it wasn't as he expected. And there were many attempts where he tried to get people from Europe to Dubai. Back in the days, there were still questions about whether Dubai is safe, and it's a Middle Eastern place. And just about the right time, it connected because I had this order also that I had to close and deliver, and I got help from my brother.
Amazing.
And that's how the business further progressed.
Amazing. So it's the power of the family, which I always say
Right.
in every single episode that I have, how much impact it makes when the family comes together, when the family encourages each other, isn't it? As you said, it's very easy to give up.
Yeah.
But if there is a hand to hold us,
Correct.
support us, that moral support, just the confidence in us,
Yeah.
it takes us to places, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This is amazing.
Yeah. I think from there on, we started this more aggressively. We started to invest more, and one thing led to another. We saw ourselves in very prestigious places, in royal places, in lots of majlis, in the evening gatherings, where they liked the idea of fragrance in the air. And after not giving up, we saw a lot of successes. So when you dip down, whatever goes down must come up. Somewhere the whole opportunity just opened. I saw retailers who were interested, hoteliers who were interested, commercial buildings that were interested. And this is not even a industry that had a clear definition. Yes, it's fragrance industry, but what exactly is this? So there are different terms like scent marketing and interior scenting. So to clearly tell the customer what we were doing was not clear to the customer, until you sit down and give them explanation about, look, you remember that hotel, it has a fragrance in the air. Ah, right. And where does it come from? It comes from the air conditioning system. And we connected to the air conditioning system. So it's like a hybrid business. It's fragrance, yes, but it's also facility management.
Correct.
So there are two elements to it, and there has to be a very perfect mix of this. Like I would say somewhere 70%, if it is air conditioning system, you have to be very good with facility management, to manage the air conditioning system. You have to have a background in AC, and you need people from that background, and also understand how the airflow works. It's not every time machine will solve the problem. You also have to look at it from the client's air conditioning system. Maybe there's a problem with the client's air conditioning system. So you should be aware on how to solve the diffusion to make it spread all over.
Interesting.
So this business then grew, and I believe since we are late entrant to this industry, I believe we are probably among the top three.
Wow.
We are number 3 according to me.
Impressive.
I still feel there are 2 other companies that are having higher outreach, and largely that's because they started almost 5 years before us, and one case almost 8 years before us.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had that early mover advantage, and I think it's changing very soon. I think hopefully within some time we will be number 2 within the next year. Now that I'm in the business, so
The creative one.
Yeah.
Amazing.
apart from that, very recently, I started, after leaving the corporate world, I started to think about how about solving the problem of what customers have in terms of fragrance in their home.
Okay.
So if you look at home fragrance, Preea, the solutions that we have today are candles, reed diffusers, those that are glass and you
The
have a stick
stick,
and you keep
yes.
turning it every 4 hours or so. And then you have the spray, air spray. And possibly other than this, there was a machine which had water and you put like a essential oil in it, and it. So all these fragrances, all these diffusion models don't have a consistent fragrance in the air.
Agree with you.
Yeah.
I have tried every single thing and it doesn't work.
Is it? The reed diffuser, I would say, my personal favorite would be the reed diffuser, but it's good in a very small place like a restroom. You cannot have it in a living room, and that's where where people want the fragrance, either the living room or the bedroom, sometimes even the kitchen. We have now started a new brand. I'm hoping to launch it on 15th of November. I hope it works well. It's the main buyers are, I would say, female buyers.
Okay.
I think I have to really connect with this audience. I am fairly I have been in the B2B space, and a lot of things in B2B does not require a lot of marketing.
Correct.
But B2C, you need to make a lot of investment first in marketing, and I'm trying to go organic, and that's why I think podcast is a very good medium. And it has a lot of outreach. You can do a lot of collaborations,
Absolutely.
both sides.
Absolutely.
And that's how you can reach. The other ways is blogs. So maybe because I have the B2B mindset, I believe that it should be pushed definitely through marketing. But before you start investing a lot in marketing, you should completely try all options when it comes to going organic.
True. I agree with you on this.
And medium like yours, Preea, like podcast, I think in long format, there are so many ways to market it.
Correct.
It also supports the marketing. Like you
Yes.
have the short reels and the long format. A lot of people like the long format. A lot of people like the reels and the shorts. So overall, I think podcast is a very good medium to get content. And today, a lot of people like video content. They don't, want to read a lot.
Correct.
So here's a podcast that you have, which you can then cut into so many small reels.
True. So I think I love the way you touch all the senses, right? So one is the senses of smell that you already are touching through your products.
Right.
The other thing is the visualization, the sound. So how you'll reach people, how you will pass on that message, because it's very important to resonate, right? And people are looking forward to have this kind of solution in daily lives. I'm one of them, because whenever you are entering any place, whether it's your own house, your own room, whether you're going in a public space, a restaurant to sit with somebody for a nice fine dining, it's the perfume or the smell or the experience. It's an overall experience, right? Sometimes the ambience is beautiful, but you come across the foul smell and you don't want to go back to that place ever again.
Correct.
And similarly at home, when you are inviting guests, right, how you feel, and you feel proud of inviting them, right? And imagine if you have just finished your cooking and the smell remains.
Right.
So you will try everything to make sure that that smell doesn't remain over there.
Right.
So I think it's very, very important and beautiful way of you touching those senses. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who would be looking forward, I'm one of them, to try your products for sure.
Thank you. I think the area of what we bring into hotels is an area that we can bring into homes also. Why not? We're planning to have signature fragrances of some leading hotels in Dubai. So when your friends or family come to your home, the moment you open your door, the main door, you get a whiff of fragrance in the air.
Amazing. And that's the experience that starts.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's
Very
a beautiful
nice.
way to welcome your guest.
Right.
I think that's an area that we want to focus on, which is signature fragrance of hotels. And there are two other areas, Preea, that I think it's very important. The other one is mental health and well-being.
Interesting topic.
It's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic. It's much needed because the way the lifestyle is going now, full of stress. So I think it's very, very important.
Absolutely. I mentioned that my buyers are largely women, for home. Uh, and women, yes, they do go through stress and depression, but I believe men are the main people who would be suffering with mental health in future, because they try to not express it, they do not take help, they get into some sort of substance abuse. Also, they are known to be more suicidal. So I think the subject works in different way, mental health with women and men. I think there is a lot of vulnerability in men, especially after COVID, and a lot of people have gone through job losses, or expecting to have job losses, and they don't know what next they need to do. I think all of this plays, in mental health, and
Right.
everybody at some level is going through some mental health issues. I think that's an area that I feel personally, I feel very good about being in.
Very nice.
When I started this business, the subject of mental health was never there. But today, looking at this, what's going around in the world and how things might transcend, I think this is an area that I feel very happy to be in, because it also means that I work with fragrance houses and perfumers. We are working on every mood, for stress, for depression, and just to have a overall good vibe. So the fragrance houses also are working on some solutions here, and I would be launching 7 fragrances in for mental health, and 7 fragrances for hotel, signature smell of hotels. And the third one would be personal moments. So there are a lot of people out here who are, of course, married and single, and I think this is an area also of interest. A lot of people would want to have something that elevates their personal moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the way people get busy in their lives,
Yeah.
and especially after marriage,
Yeah.
after few years,
Yeah.
it's important to reignite those
Correct.
moments and those relationships to keep it alive,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really nice to see, Rashid, where you started the journey. One, a very corporate person. Then you moved to a very creative idea. So while you're doing your business, it's very nice of you to even think on the health and wellness side, and also saving some relationships.
Right.
So you're touching all the personal side of human beings. So which is actually, I would say, I would even put it in the noble cause, because it's you don't think numbers only, but you're trying to balance and trying to solve a lot of problem that people are facing on daily basis. There's something which comes as a psychology, a doctor is helping, but the science that comes from these senses, which actually triggers a lot of dopamine in your nervous system. I think these things are very important when you connect all the dots. So it's not always you go to the doctor and have medications, but there are n number of ways that you can help yourself,
Correct.
isn't it?
Fragrances connect to a part of our brain that is associated with emotions and memory. So yes, you're right. I mean, a good amount of what we experience in this world happens from, as you know, from our senses. But when it comes to emotions, is the olfactive sense that plays a big role. So what you smell has a big impact on how you feel. Yes, I feel very happy about entering this part of our business. Fragrance has always been associated with feel good experience. Isn't it beautiful? Like, you put a diffuser in your home, and you can choose the fragrances,
Correct.
depending on your mood, what kind of mood that you want. Sometimes you want a hotel fragrance. It could be the smell of, say, Armani Hotel or Address Hotel, or the other days you might want to have a fragrance that is lavender, to have a kind of a sense of calmness in your house. So here, what there are two major areas that we had to focus on. The first was there's a lot of people who have fragrance fatigue. So they like a fragrance, they love it, they want to, share it with their friends. But after a few days, they want to try something else.
Correct.
So they're not completely wanting to stay with one smell. And why not? If there's so many fragrances out there in this world. So the fragrance fatigue, we addressed it by having 21 fragrances
Wow.
all together. So what
Beautiful.
we plan to do is have 7 signature hotel fragrances, 7 mental health and well-being, and 7 personal moments, or I would say intimate moments. So these 7 into 3, add up to 21 fragrances. And 21 fragrances, every bottle is 10 ml,
Okay.
and it stays for 10 hours approximately.
Wow.
So you get 210 hours of fragrance, which can last for more than a year, depending on how many times you're using it. Some people do not want to use it daily, whenever on special occasions, on weekends, things like that. So this addresses the fragrance fatigue part. Instead of buying a big bottle of one fragrance, how about taking small fragrances?
Yeah, makes
Have
sense.
10 hours of diffusion with 21 fragrances. And if you really like one of those fragrances, you can take a bigger bottle, buy it
Beautiful.
online. The other thing was the strength of the fragrance. So sometimes if the fragrance is too strong, okay, so customers don't like it, So what we have in our fragrance diffuser, Sense Around is the name of the diffuser. The brand is Rivia. Just adding a plug to sell my products. It's launching on 15th November.
We are excited and looking forward, Rashid. This is such a unique product that is coming up, and we're really looking forward to have it.
Yeah, thank you. The strength of the fragrance, what we're doing, Preea, is we have 3 options: low, medium, high. I didn't want to have timer. Okay, I don't want to complicate it. We want someone at age 8 years to 80 years without reading the manual operate the fragrance. And I believe the sense of sound, music, like a lot of people have invested a lot in music system in their homes. I believe this is reducing, because now you have music on your mobile, you have music as you go, on the go, and also you have music in your car.
Yes.
So when they are at home, they would want to instead experience another sense, which is the sense of smell.
Right.
So the fragrance diffuser will play a major role in homes. So this is an area that I'm really excited about, and we have a different brand called Rivia, Rivia. So Rivia Fragrances is on a brand which we are launching, and starting 15th November, we would have online sales and D2C, and also through retailers.
So you are giving a solution when I'm at home and I have this nice fragrance, and the moment I'm getting out of the house, usually say, since we connected with music, when I'm listening to a music, I want to continue. So I would plug the music in my Bluetooth and continue that journey, right?
Right.
Do you have something solution which is like, okay, I'm at home, I'm still in that mood, and by the time I reach, I want to continue and keep up that energy. Do you have a solution for that?
When you leave the home, the diffuser that we have now is for the home, but we are also planning to have a car fragrance diffuser. Yeah.
Amazing.
Something on similar principles of how we've used this diffuser, which does not have any mix of water or heating. You don't have to heat it. The
Right.
machine is not getting heated like a electric heater. Some fragrance diffusers, once you connect it, there is a heater down, and it heats up the bukhur, as an example. But this does not have any kind of heating. So the same principle we'll also apply in car, and hopefully that experience can be extended.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, then you keep up the momentum and the energy till you reach your destination.
Absolutely.
And I hope that the destination also have taken your products to continue that journey throughout.
Which is office as an example. We can
Yes.
also have the same home diffuser used in offices.
Yes. And it makes a big impact
Right.
for your guests when they come, right? Because it's all about experiences, what I've seen, right from the parking, which may put you off sometimes, But by the time the guest reaches in and those senses are sparked
Yeah,
to get that happy feeling,
absolutely.
I'm sure you'll have successful
Absolutely.
meetings
Yeah,
and deals will be closed.
absolutely. A lot of customers do that, Priya.
Hmm.
They have a fragrance playing in the conference room.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking to, let's say, a coffee and a bakery where they want to have the fresh bread fragrance in the air.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are selling bread, you know, and they understand the importance of smell. And they say when we bake the bread, we put a lot of time and effort on this, and there's a lot of smell as you bake it. But when we bring it outside, the fragrance is not there.
Right.
So we want to tell our customers that we have bakery section, and it's fresh
The
and
little
everything.
aroma that comes
So
out
they want
of
to
it.
add the aroma in the air. So to what you said, I mean, fragrances help businesses in different way.
Absolutely.
You can have it in a conference room, you can have it in your retail store, depending on what your theme is. So yes, a lot of businesses do use fragrance in important meetings, in their conference room, in their reception, to give that kind of depending if it's a luxury feel or a calm feel. If you want him to sign a contract, maybe put lavender in the
Make
background.
sure. That's an important tip, I
Yeah,
must say.
yeah.
So, Rashid, share with us one fun fact that we are not aware about.
One fun fact that we are not aware about, I would say I have been in the cockpit of a commercial airline.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
While it was flying.
Wow.
So how did that happen? Okay, I was flying and I was in the airport in the duty free,
Mhm.
and there was this announcement, final call for this flight number so and so, and I have this habit of being the last person to get into the gate.
Very few of them have this. Otherwise, you always see the rush,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I watch from a distance. If
Interesting.
I'm going to lose the, would it be closed? But I usually find my way in, although I missed the flight once.
Oh my God.
Okay, but that's another story. So I was in the duty free, and I was watching final announcement for flight number so and so, and it would continue and continue. And I saw the captain of my flight, and the announcement is the same because he was wearing the uniform.
So,
So I was
assurance
very
you
relaxed.
will not miss it.
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
very relaxed. So I went to the captain and I said, "Excuse me, I don't think we're going to miss this flight." And he just bursted out laughing. And somewhere we connected, because I had this aviation background also. I always wanted to be a pilot.
Wow.
So we had some small talk, Priya. That led to the start of this conversation where he also got very interested in me. And unfortunately, we both had to leave because it was the final call. So somewhere before he crossed, he asked me my seat number. And I gave my seat number. So I was like very excited. Now he asked my seat number. Maybe he will call me in, So the plane took off, and it was time for removing the seat belt. The seat belt sign was off, and nothing happened. I was just sitting there, and a few, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and there's no call. So then I decided, let me talk to the cabin crew. So I asked the cabin crew, can you please give a message to the pilot?
Mhm.
Let him know seat number where I'm sitting, seat number so and so
Mhm.
says hi.
Wow. That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah. So Priya, she went in,
Mhm.
spoke to the pilot, and she comes out. And she tells me, "Sir, can you sit on the first row?"
Oh, wow.
I said, "Really? Okay." So I walked down to the first row,
Uh-huh.
and she closed the curtain.
Okay.
And after that, she opened the curtain and says, "Sir, please come inside."
So
And
dramatic.
then she closed the curtain
Wow.
again. The next thing, Priya, she opens the cockpit.
Oh, wow.
And here I am. I enter the cockpit.
Interesting.
And I remember the seat, I think it's called the jump seat.
Okay.
So she had the jump seat ready also.
Oh, wow.
So I enter, I say hi to the first officer, and he's shocked. He just looks at me and he's smiling, but he's visibly shocked what's happening. And he looks in front again, and I think he had this map. It was a paper,
Mhm.
and he's looking at the map, and somewhere he's talking to the ATC, and I then get down to talking to the captain, and I asked him so many questions. I remember some of them. So, firstly, he liked the idea of what we spoke in the past, in the duty free. So he wanted to continue, and I think he wanted to kind of inspire me. So he had a good reason. I think he saw his youth in me. He talked about his life, and he answered a lot of my questions. I asked him the wings, they keep flapping in the turbulence. What if the wing just breaks?
Oops.
It can happen, right?
Yeah.
And he said, no, it doesn't work like that. This is during a plane check. They literally flip the wing upwards and then they bring it downwards like a bird, So it's 90 degrees up and 90 degrees down. So it can literally flap as much as a 90 degrees. So it will never break. So that was good news, got me relaxed. And then I asked him about turbulence, and he said, no, it's nothing serious. It's like potholes on a road,
Okay.
So nothing really happens. You have these air pockets in the cloud, for example, because, I think the cloud sucks is sucked by the engine, and that causes the turbulence. And there are some air pockets where you don't have that kind of force. And he said that's nothing to worry. It's very normal.
Good to know that. Thank you, Rashid, for sharing that information.
Yeah. So he said it's like it keeps moving, like you're in a car and your car keeps moving, right?
Because the moment you feel the turbulence, you get so nervous.
So he said, no, this is not, never, you shouldn't worry too much about this. The other thing he told me is, I asked him, is takeoff difficult or is landing difficult? And he said the landing is difficult because you are at a very high altitude.
Correct.
And you have to gradually come down, and the weight of the plane is heavy. So you have to take this weight and slowly bring it down to the tarmac, Wow. So that calls for a little effort. I think the other thing I told him was, I heard that there's this saying among the pilots, if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going.
Oh,
so I asked him, what's with this Boeing preference that you all have, or is this just a statement? He said some of the pilots like control. They want to have a control. And Airbus is literally like you have a joystick and it's way more automated.
Wow.
Yeah. So they don't like so much of automation, they want the control of the plane. So the Boeing experience gives you the full control of the plane,
Wow.
And then he talked about his personal life. He said that I am doing this international flight, but I don't like international flights. I like domestic now because, I have a family and I spent so much of my life flying. He put his hand like this and, he said, imagine sand in your palm and it's slowly falling off from your fingers. So my entire life, literally has, I've lost so much of time, like the sand in my hand, and I have very few left, and I want to spend this as much as possible with my family. I think, so the guy was, I wish I could meet him, but back in the days, we had a Nokia phone and I unfortunately didn't even click a picture.
Oh my God.
That would have been good memory. And so this is how I landed in the cockpit.
That's very interesting.
In fact, Preea, after this experience, I tried to get a PPL license. PPL is a private pilot license. Yeah, and there are training institutes that give you PPL. So there's a license called PPL and CPL, Commercial Pilot License. So I tried the PPL, but I was still young and I didn't have enough of fun, and I just kept it for later. And now, I got reminded of all of this, and I think one unfulfilled desire that I have is to do the PPL,
Oh, interesting.
So hopefully in Dubai, I would someday do the training and also look at, you get a plane called Cessna. and you can take off, I think, also from Dubai and other Emirates, also like Quwain and other places. Dubai, I've heard, is it's very the traffic is very high, so
Yeah,
you
it's
have to
busy
wait.
airport.
Yeah, it's a busy
Yeah.
airport. You have to wait at the tarmac for a very long time. There are other Emirates where it's much easier.
Okay.
So yeah, that's something that I love. Love aviation, and I miss the only profession I miss apart from fragrance would be being a pilot. And someday with a PPL license, I hope I can fly.
We wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
So, Rashid, tell me one thing. Since you're coming from corporate, recently I have been meeting so many people who had some challenges in the corporate side. I also notice where people hold themselves behind, even though they have potential, but there is something that stops them. There are a lot of people in corporate environment who would want to start an entrepreneurial journey. How would you motivate them, and what message you would give them to start a safe journey?
Right. Firstly, I don't recommend people to abruptly leave their jobs, because you have fixed cost in this part of the world, whether you have income or not. It's not like your hometown where maybe you're not paying for your apartment rent,
Correct.
but here you would either have an EMI or so I would suggest people to continue with their job until they have a plan of a side hustle,
Mm-hmm.
to do something in the side, see through the success of this, because I would say around 3 years, the first 3 years are the most difficult, almost 1,000 days for a startup. And during this time, you would also understand, you can calibrate and understand if the MVP is working, and how's the response. And I would say, don't just have one project, at least have say 4 projects. The first project, for example, Preea, it could be your friend, so it made it easy. Or the second one that you get, it could be because of the price that you've offered. It's not the price you want to sustain and continue in that price, but you gave that price, to get that logo.
Like a launch price.
Yeah. So that does not, ensure that MVP that you have and the price that you want to sell at in the long term would work. So you must at least have a few more projects. You may have another project which maybe a friend or a family has given you just to encourage you. And the fourth one would possibly be the real deal that you've clicked. Once you get that, then I would say, get another 5 big projects, to confirm what you're doing is working.
Amazing. That's an interesting tip, Rashid.
Yeah, and I would say, Priya, after I think all of this would take about a good 3 years.
Wow.
So there's no hurry.
Patience.
You must have patience, and after I would say the first 3 years, once things are stable, you don't have to wait to get the same income what you're getting from your salary and bonus. You consolidate everything, whatever that amount is, your salary, your annual bonus, your commission, and all the benefits that you get in the company, put it on an Excel sheet. You'll get one total over there. You don't have to wait for that total in your side hustle. If you get even 80% of that amount, but it should be for the 9 months. And that's why I say 3 years. 9 months consistently, you should get on average 80% of what you're getting in your employee life.
Extremely important point.
Yeah. Why I say 80% and not 100% is because there has to be some level of insecurity when you leave from the corporate world to start your own business, or from employee to employer, because that insecurity is required.
The fire, right?
It's the fire in the belly when you just get, you need to get going with, do something on your own. Because keep in mind, when you outside the corporate world, you're not reporting to anyone. You could be, in bed,
Correct.
and not wake up on time. There is no responsibility of the way you have it in an office environment. So if you are the owner, you're the boss, there's no one questioning you whether you've come on time and things like that. Even your time management might get affected. But if you have that insecurity of that 20% income, which is less than what you were getting prior, then you would go all in. And because you have the time now and the focus, you would make multiple times more than the 20% gap. So you would probably make 10x what you were getting earlier. So a little bit of insecurity financially must be there when you quit, but it should not be more than 80%.
Right.
Consistency should be there for 9 months. It shouldn't be just, I've got 80% for the last 3 months. No, it's not good enough. It should be at least 9 months.
Very nice.
And
I like the
then-
concept of being very specific on the 9 months
Absolutely.
incubation period, I must say.
Yeah. And then, Preea, it's proven that your time has come.
Very nice.
3 years you have invested in this company. You've got 80% of the income that you have been receiving for the last 9 months. So it's not unstable. And you've proven yourself with multiple projects. You've got that 80% because of these multiple projects, not just from a referral. You've got different ways of getting this source of revenue. There's been an effort in the right pricing, an effort in reducing your price, an effort in getting this through referral, an effort in actually being part of a tender. So different models have worked for you. Now I'm talking in terms of B2B. Finally, when you get that kind of stability, it's time to leave.
That's so nice
Yeah.
of you.
If you pull it along more, it may continue, but you then have to decide what you want to do in life. Is this balance what you want to continue, and for how long? Or do you want to go all in and grow the business that you always wanted?
Correct. I think it's very important because sometimes in corporate life, we do get into a comfort zone.
Right.
So the tip that you gave to not get back into the comfort zone the moment you take it over. So you keep that 20%, the fire in you. So then you
Yes.
keep moving ahead. Self-discipline, extremely important. So then you keep up that momentum.
Yeah.
Because when you are self-disciplined, everybody who will be joining you because they look up to the leader, you become a right example as well
Right.
to set that stage, and the whole team will support as well. So I would say an extremely incredible tips that you have given to a lot of people who want to pursue their dreams, but they don't know where to start from. And the most important tip that you have given is to just not take abrupt decision.
Absolutely.
Be logical.
Yeah.
Ensure all your cost is taken care of. But make sure you don't get back into the comfort zone and you keep growing.
True.
So beautiful. I mean, a true visionary, I must say, a true leader. And you have inspired so many people today on the show.
A lot of people take emotional decisions, Priya. They like what they have in their mind,
Right.
and just believe it's going to work. There's no survey, there's no dipstick on understanding what others have to say about your idea. You haven't encashed it.
Correct.
There has to be billing.
Yes.
There has to be real money coming into your bank,
True.
and it has to be consistent. You have to have it spread over multiple months. It's not just 1 month or 2 months. And even if it is working, stay on at least 3 years. Because during this time, the way you manage people, the way you have internal processes, how you get the right product market MVP, all of this will take time. Okay. Also, you would understand your source of fund. In the long period, you would understand your source of fund and how you would plan to keep funding this. So all of this requires a good amount of time, like 3 years. So don't hurry up. Once you exit from your corporate world, you don't want to go back, right? So why the hurry? If you are having a good job, continue with it. If you're suffering in your job and if you want to start a business because of that, again, I would not recommend. I would recommend you to take another job and be successful in your job. Have a clarity of funds from where you're getting the money while you do the side hustle. and then see the side hustle to its success, and then you can make the move.
This is very, very interesting point that you mentioned. So now this is something which is inspiring for people who are already into corporate.
Right.
There is youth full of passion, full of drive. They want to do something. What would be a piece of advice that you would give to the youth out there who's all ready to get in by the time they're studying or just finishing their studies? What is a safe way for them to start the business? Would you tell them go for a corporate and then get into business, or what exactly would be your piece of advice?
I would say stop vaping. That's the first advice. I think for youth, it depends on their background. It depends on what kind of support they have got from their family. I think it's very important to understand where the corporate world is moving. I believe that in the next 10 years, a lot of people will be doing freelance work, and they would not work with one company, they would work with multiple companies. And that would happen through remote.
Correct.
You
And
know,
we've already started to see this shift happening in the market.
Right. And there would be a lot of acceptance to this. People will sign up service agreements with staff in other part of the world, as long as the time zone permits, and also the operation. I think the youth are fully aligned to this kind of lifestyle, because I think they would also not want to be in a corporate hierarchy for long term, like the way the previous generation was. So I think we need to learn from youth rather than advising them. But I think what is really important for the youth today is patience. I would say patience is very important. Whatever you do takes time. You know, we hear about VC funding, and somebody has got in Series A $5 million. This morning I was reading, the $5 million is not gone in the pocket of the founder.
Correct.
Yeah, he doesn't have that money. Okay, and it is a pledge
Yes.
sometimes that they will give. They
Correct.
haven't given. And if you get this money, you also have milestones to achieve. Okay, that money does not come for free.
Correct.
So you have a milestone. Let's say, for example, in 9 months, this is an achievement that you should do. You must have so much of sale or so much of customer base. And if that does not happen in the agreement, you will lose power to the company that you started.
Very important point
Yeah.
that you mentioned.
So there's always security that the VCs have. They can even move you out from the board. You may have a small percentage of your shares, which will continue to deplete as they start investing or getting more investors in the business. So I personally am not for VC. I think go frugal as much as you can. And then if it really requires, then that's another game that I myself need to learn before I advise on VC funding. I think that the youth are not aware on how the financial system works, how the investment world works. I would recommend go solo, take funding from friends and family, whether it is B2B or B2C, and then have a lot of patience. I think what is also very important is emotional intelligence. And that takes time and experience. So I think your investment in the knowledge that you gain, like soft skills, I think you should focus on emotional intelligence, and the rest will come out with experience. A lot of this is like, even if you tell a youth, like I speak to my cousin and I give him the complete format, how to do the interview, and he spoke just like that in the interview, how to have the backlight while you're speaking in the Teams meeting. And he spoke just like that. And he got the job. And he got married with that
Wow.
salary that he was getting. And he got himself stable. He got the apartment, rent, and everything. Of course, I gave him a little money for the initial advance payment. And finally, what happens? He lost the job.
Oh my God.
Because he lacked experience. So whatever he said in the interview, whatever mindset he presented was not internally accepted by him.
You should learn to fly.
Yeah. So this takes time.
Correct.
And I think a good hack would be to have the right circle of friends. So for the youth, I would say, there's a saying that the 5 people that you hang out with, you're an average of those 5 people. So if you are able to connect with people who are successful at what you want to do, I think that's a great hack.
Amazing.
Even if that calls for working for free, so be it. Get that time with the person, that mentor, because that is of incredible value.
Right.
I think patience, emotional intelligence, and also the fact that all of this would also require you to be in that kind of a circle, to have the right mindset, and that will come if your social circle is also aspiring to do what you want to do. So it kind of influences you.
Very nice. Beautiful way of putting it and inspiring all the youth out there, Rashid. And tell me, do you have any plans for being a public speaker?
I have done public speaking in the past, and I think I'm not 100% good at it. I think I still need some soft skill training. Like, for example, this is the first time I'm watching the camera and speaking.
And you are amazing. And that's the reason why I asked, because the way you gave out the message to the youth, I think it's very important that you do go into those forums where we have a lot of youth attending those forums.
No one calls me Preea.
Viewers, we have an excellent speaker, a leader, a visionary. Please, we need such kind of people to come on board and share these knowledge and inspire the youth in the right way. So here we have Mr. Rashid. Please do call him.
And if you want me to come, you must also buy my fragrance.
I think that should come complimentary, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Because fragrance requires samples. You're right. So
Absolutely.
maybe I can start distributing in the
The
public speaking.
samples will get you big business for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Rashid, tell me one thing. If you get a chance to have a dinner with someone, live or not alive, who will it be and why? And what will be something that you would want to ask that person during having your lunch or dinner?
I think you got me thinking. I think, Preea, it would be my father. I lost my father in 2008. He was a big motivation in my life. Maybe because he was always an employee. He was in a bank, and of course, he did well for himself. I remember one instance where I asked for his advice. I was looking at purchasing an apartment in my in a city where the apartment was close to the university. And I said, Dad, I'm thinking of taking this 1 BHK. I have so much of money that I can put as an advance, and the rest I can take a bank loan, and I will have a student who will pay me rent, and that will clear the EMI. And it's going to be great, Dad. How about making this investment? And of course, in my language, he said something like, something to the effect like, come on, man, think big.
Wow.
That was his response. And it just shocked me. He said, what are you talking about? You're in Dubai. Think about starting a factory in Jebel Ali.
Amazing.
What is this little bit of 1-bedroom apartment and taking it and putting it on lease? And so Dad had this thing where he could connect with me at a level where he helped me with the mindset change.
Interesting.
Somewhere the business that I had, the first business I had, even in college, happened because of his influence. And maybe he could not do business in his lifetime. And he possibly has been signing so much of loan for so many people, being a banker. And he has seen the success of people through his job, and he wanted his sons to have an entrepreneur life. So I think I would love to have
He is where he is, and he is for sure proud of you, Rashid. You made him proud.
Especially Preea, in this time of my life, when I finally did what he wanted, that would be a great experience.
He's watching you, and I'm sure he's very proud of you. You made him proud. Rashid, to have such kind of bond with your father is so special. And what is so special about you is you following his guidance. You made him proud and you did everything very logically. You were very balanced in every single stage of your life. You never went overboard or got excited. So that's a beautiful way of going ahead with your journey. And I'm sure your father must be so proud of you. God bless. And may his soul rest in peace. Wherever he is, our prayers are with him. And thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful story with him and touching every single soul out there with such a beautiful bonding that you both had. So great. Thank you so much for your time, Rashid, and taking your valuable time and sharing it with all our viewers and giving us time to come all the way to the studio. Thank you very much.
Preea, I'm very happy to be here. It's been my first podcast as a guest, and I was very nervous, but you've made me feel very comfortable.
Thank
And
you.
I also am very inspired by the fact that you've done a podcast. And like I told you earlier, that somewhere in the back of my mind, I also wanted to have a podcast, and it was always there.
Oh, wow.
And recently we had, I think 30th of September was International Podcast Day.
Yes.
Yeah. And I said, that's it. After talking to Preea, I said, I must announce that I would also be having my podcast called
nice.
Smell of Success.
Interesting.
And somewhere it's inspired by you.
Thank you so much. Wishing you all the very best. I feel so honored that you made this announcement on my podcast, and I'm wishing you all the very best. And I hope you get best of the guests coming and your podcast will flourish.
Thank you so much.